Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. So a few weeks back, the news broke that Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Global were in discussions about a merger. And at that point in time, there was a lot of speculation and a lot of discourse online about why this merger shouldn't happen in most people's views. And I remember at the time, if you go back and watch my videos on the topic, I really was taken aback by the rumors of Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery merging together and really didn't exactly know how to feel about it. But now that some weeks have passed and some more details have come out on the situation, I wanted to just discuss with you guys today how it seems like that merger that made a lot of headlines probably won't be happening anytime soon, if at all. So first and foremost, I want to discuss with you guys why this merger was even being discussed upon to begin with. And some details have come out recently on why this merger was even being discussed in the first place. So the answer is twofold. Number one, Paramount Global is in a bit of financial trouble right now. Apparently, they are $15 billion in debt, and they're seeing their business slowly decline, and they're basically trying to save themselves from bankruptcy, so they're looking to be absorbed by another entity, another company, which is where the whole they're looking to be merged or bought out comes from in the first place. Now, on the Warner Brothers Discovery side of things, the interest was piqued by David Zaslav, as apparently he is very interested in the movie library that Paramount has at their disposal, and that's where this all started. Essentially, David Zaslav viewed Paramount's movie library as a potential asset to Warner Brothers Discovery. So Warner Brothers Discovery isn't looking for someone to save them, it would seem, at least at this moment in time, or at least what's being said publicly. It seems like they still want to survive as their own entity. They're just looking for ways to make their brand bigger and bolster their library of movies and shows, which is why they were intrigued by this whole Paramount merger. Here's the thing about having a Paramount merger with Warner Brothers Discovery and why it's not a good idea is because, as I just said before, Paramount is currently $15 billion in debt. And if you guys recall, when Warner Media merged with Discovery and Warner Brothers Discovery first became its new entity and the new brand name for Warner Brothers, the company was $55 billion in debt. And because of that $55 billion in debt, they were canceling a lot of shows, a lot of movies that were in production. Obviously, we know about the 30-something shows that were removed from Max, the cancellation of Batman Cape Crusader and later selling of it to Amazon, the cancellation of the Amazing World of Gumball movie, which that fate is still up in the air. We don't know what's happening with that, as well as some other shows and movies being canceled, and Merry Little Batman was also sold off to Amazon. And I feel like one of the bigger movies to be canceled is Scoob the Holiday Haunt, which I hadn't really talked about it, but that is the sequel to 2020's Scoob movie, and that movie was pretty much done. They were done pretty much with post-production, and they just scrapped it. And the reason why all of these shows and all of these movies were scrapped mid-production is because they could then use it as a tax write-off to try to recoup some of that money back, so they're no longer $55 billion in debt. When we fast forward to today, Warner Brothers Discovery is currently reported to be at $44.8 billion worth of debt. So let's just say $45 million for argument's sake. That comes 2 years after this merger initially happened, and 2 years after it was reported that they were at $55 billion in debt. So essentially within 2 years, they made up $10 billion. If you look at that and see, okay, they're currently at $45 billion in debt, they're, doing a decent job getting themselves out of the debt that they currently have, why would you then go to buy Paramount, who is a company that is currently in $15 billion worth of debt? So then this new Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount entity, whatever they decide to call it, would be a whopping $60 billion in debt, worse than Warner Brothers Discovery was initially. So from that perspective, from that angle, it doesn't make sense and doesn't look like this merger is ever going to happen, because why make yourselves be in a worse financial situation than bankruptcy? Because you're not making your financial situation better, you're making it worse. You're essentially sending yourself back 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 years potentially, because it took you guys a good 2 years to recover $10 million. So if you keep on that track record, if you keep on that trajectory, that's going to take you another 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 years to recover this new $15 billion worth of debt that you're going to be taking on. So from that perspective, it doesn't make sense. Last but not least, one thing that I heard some other people discuss discussing online, which is a good point that I didn't even think of, is if this merger happened, it would actually be a bad thing for the industry for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, it would be the consolidation of two of the major media giants in the industry, which isn't really a good thing because then you run the risk of monopolies happening and whatnot, and that's something we discussed in the prior videos. The thing that I didn't think of and didn't realize is it takes away a studio from creators to pitch their shows for. So what I mean by this is right now, if you're making a cartoon, you pretty much have three big studios you could go to. You could go to Disney, see if they'll pick it up. You could go to Cartoon Network, see if they'll pick it up. And you could also go to Nickelodeon and to see if they'll pick it up. If all of a sudden Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery merge together, that means that Cartoon Network Studios and Paramount's Nickelodeon Studios will essentially become one entity, meaning that you only have two places to go to now, making your odds of getting a show a lot less likely. Also meaning that the diversity of content we see on TV would become less and less, because if one studio says no and Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon are under the same umbrella, then chances are the other studio is also saying no. And for example, a really great example that actually happened a good 10 to 15 years ago is with Adventure Time. Adventure Time went to Nickelodeon, they pitched the show there, they got a pilot, and Nickelodeon said no. Then Pendleton Ward went to Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network said yes. And we know history from there. Adventure Time is one of the biggest franchises that Cartoon Network has created in a long time. And if this merger had happened at that point in time, if Paramount said no, then Cartoon Network would have said no because they are the same entity, which would mean that Adventure Time probably would have never been made unless if another studio came in and gave Pendleton Ward the chance to make it a series, which that remains to be seen. Who knows what have happened there, but nevertheless, all in all, I don't really see any positives between a Paramount and a Warner Brothers Discovery merger. The only way this makes sense to me is if Warner Brothers Discovery's grand plan is that they want to become bankrupt, which I don't think they're trying to do. So yeah, I think this was a lot of smoke a few weeks ago around this story, but I don't really think there's any fire to be seen here. I don't think this is gonna happen. I just think it was an interesting idea that David Zaslav had that he wanted to explore, and I think it's probably going to become nothing more than that, at least not in the near future. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. Do you guys agree with me that it seems like this whole Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount merger was just a little bit of exploration on the part of both companies, and it most likely won't happen due to, Warner Brothers Discovery probably wanting to stay away from bankruptcy. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.